Before the spark of fire gave us warmth, another quieter revolution was taking place. It was a revolution of the mind, expressed through the hand. For millions of years, early humans were prisoners of their own biology. Their only tools were their hands, their teeth, and the blunt objects they could find, sticks and stones. Imagine the desperation. A small clan of early hominins, perhaps Homo habilis, has scavenged a carcass from a lion's kill. The prize is rich with protein, the fuel for a growing brain. But the hide is thick, the sinews are like iron. Tearing it apart with bare hands is a brutal, exhausting, and often futile struggle. This was the daily reality, a world of immense resources just beyond their grasp. The world before the edge. The solution was not born from a single brilliant mind. It was the product of countless moments of accident, observation, and dawning intelligence. A frustrated hominin throws one quartzite rock against another. A flake, a piece of stone with a razor-sharp edge, breaks off. Curiosity, the engine of all invention, takes over. A finger is sliced. The connection is made. This new shape can cut. This accidental discovery was followed by a monumental cognitive leap. The move from finding an edge to making one on purpose. This is the birth of technology. The act of knapping, striking a coarse stone with a hammerstone at a precise angle to control the fracture and create a sharp tool. This process required a new way of thinking. It required foresight, the ability to see a tool hidden inside a raw stone. It required an understanding of physics, of angles and force. It was a conversation between the hand, the eye, and the material. With every successful strike, a new neural pathway was forged in the brain. The mind was shaping the stone, and the stone was shaping the mind. The culmination of this new intelligence was the first great masterpiece of human design, the Herculean hand axe. This was not just a sharp flake. It was a symmetrical, teardrop-shaped multi-purpose tool. It was a concept, an ideal form, held in the mind and then imposed upon the rock. It was the Swiss Army knife of the Paleolithic, used for butchering animals, scraping hides, digging for roots, and chopping wood. For over 1,000,000 years, this single design would dominate the human toolkit. It was proof that we were no longer just reacting to the world. We were shaping it. The first cut was not just into the hide of an animal. It was a cut that severed our species from the limitations of its own biology and set us on the path to becoming the masters of the planet. The hand axe was a statement. It proved that the human mind could impose its will upon the world. But it was only the beginning. Once the door to technology was opened, an explosion of innovation followed. The single multi-tool gave way to a specialized toolkit. This was the next great cognitive leap. Our ancestors began creating different tools for different tasks. Sharp flint flakes became delicate knives for slicing meat. Notched stones became saws for cutting wood. Smooth, rounded scrapers were designed for the crucial task of cleaning animal hides for warmth and shelter. This wasn't just tool-making, it was problem-solving. It demonstrated an increasingly complex and adaptable mind. The most critical innovations were in the art of the hunt. The simple wooden spear was a start, but its effectiveness was limited. The true revolution was the composite tool, the idea of combining materials to create something greater than the sum of its parts. This is the birth of engineering. Imagine the process. A perfectly shaped stone point is created. A straight wooden shaft is prepared. Then, using strips of animal sinew for binding and sticky tree resin for glue, the point is hafted to the shaft. This required multi-step planning, an understanding of different materials, and a level of abstract thought that was unprecedented. The result? A lethal, stone-tipped spear that transformed our ancestors from scavengers into formidable hunters. This new technology had a profound effect on our diet. Humans could now hunt larger, more dangerous, and more rewarding prey. The influx of rich protein and fat from this new diet fueled the continuing expansion of the human brain, especially the frontal lobes, the areas responsible for planning, cooperation, and complex social behavior. The tools we made were, in turn, making us. Tool-making itself became a specialized craft. Archaeological sites reveal ancient workshops, places where master knappers would process raw stone, creating high-quality tools for the rest of their clan. This suggests the emergence of the first artisans, individuals valued not for their brute strength, but for their skill, their knowledge, and their hands. Armed with this new, portable, and deadly toolkit, humanity was ready to conquer the world. The stone-tipped spear and the versatile hand axe were the passports that allowed our ancestors to walk out of Africa. They gave us the ability to adapt to new environments, to hunt new prey, and to survive in the colder climates of Europe and Asia. The first cut had given us an edge. Now that edge was carrying us to the ends of the earth. The mind in the hand was not just shaping stones, it was shaping the future of a global species. The stone tool was an answer to a question of survival. But as humanity's toolkit grew more sophisticated, a new, more profound question began to emerge. Not from the stomach, but from the soul. What does it all mean? The answer would not be written in stone, but painted in ochre and charcoal on the walls of the deepest caves. This is the dawn of art, the birth of the symbolic mind. In places like Lascaux and Chauvet, our ancestors descended into the dark, silent, womb-like depths of the earth. Using the flickering light of animal fat lamps, they began to paint. What they created is breathtaking. Vast murals of the great beasts of the Ice Age. Bison, horses, mammoths, and lions, all depicted with a stunning naturalism and grace. These were not simple doodles. They were masterpieces, carefully composed and rendered, often on surfaces deep within the cave that were difficult to access. Why did they do it? This is one of the greatest mysteries of human history. These were not decorations for their living spaces. They lived at the mouths of the caves, not in these deep, sacred galleries. The effort was immense, the purpose profound. Perhaps it was a form of hunting magic. By capturing the image of an animal on the wall, they believed they could gain power over its spirit, ensuring a successful hunt. Some paintings show spears and arrows striking the beasts, suggesting a ritualistic rehearsal of the kill. Perhaps it was the work of shamans, spiritual guides journeying into the underworld. The caves were seen as portals to a spirit realm, and the paintings were visions from their trances, communications with the animal gods that governed their world. The strange geometric symbols and the half-human, half-animal figures they painted hint at a complex and mysterious spiritual life. Or perhaps it was simply the birth of storytelling. The need to record the great hunts, to pass on knowledge, to say we were here. In the firelight, the natural bulges of the cave walls would make the painted animals seem to breathe and move. A magical prehistoric cinema, where the stories of the clan came to life. Whatever the reason, this art represents a monumental leap. The same mind that could see a hand axe hidden in a stone could now see the spirit of a bison hidden in the rock. The same hands that could skillfully craft a spear point could now mix pigments and draw a line that captured the essence of a living creature. This was the birth of abstraction, of religion, of art. Our ancestors were no longer just surviving in the world. They were interpreting it. They were creating a shared universe of symbols and meaning. The hunter's dream, painted in darkness, was the first true glimpse into the depths of the human soul. The mind forged in the Stone Age had reached its zenith. The craftsmanship of our late Paleolithic ancestors was breathtaking, elegant, leaf-shaped spear points, razor-sharp obsidian blades, and the invention of the ultimate projectile weapon, the bow and arrow. The hunter's toolkit was perfected, but the world itself was changing. The Great Ice Age was ending. As the glaciers retreated and the climate warmed, the vast herds of mammoths and giant bison that had sustained humanity for millennia vanished forever. The foundation of the hunter's world crumbled. Humanity was faced with a choice: adapt or disappear. The solution came not from a single brilliant invention, but from a slow, dawning realization. The same observational skills that tracked the migrations of beasts were now turned to the life cycle of plants. Our ancestors noticed that the wild grasses, the wheat, the barley, the rye that they had gathered for generations grew back in the same places from the very seeds they sometimes spilled. This was the birth of the most consequential idea in human history: agriculture. The conscious decision to plant a seed, to nurture it, and to harvest the reward. The hunter's mind was transformed into the farmer's mind. The ancient toolkit was repurposed for this new world. Sharp stone flakes were no longer just for skinning animals. They were set into wooden handles to create the first sickles for harvesting grain. The heavy stone axe, once used to butcher mammoths, was now used to clear forests for fields. Grinding stones were developed to process the hard grains into flour. The legacy of the first cut had come full circle. The journey that began with a single, sharp flake of flint The first attempt to solve a problem by shaping the world had now led to the ultimate act of shaping the world, the cultivation of the land. The problem-solving mind, forged over 1 million years of chipping away at stone, was the same mind that now solved the crisis of the changing climate by inventing a new way of life. The Stone Age did not end because humanity ran out of stones. It ended because the mindset created by the stones had finally unlocked a new future. The stone tool was the seed from which civilization grew. It gave us the food security, the settled villages, and the surplus of time that would eventually lead to writing, to kingdoms, to empires. Every city, every book, every computer can trace its ancestry back to that first revolutionary moment when one of our ancestors picked up a rock and saw not a weapon, but a future.
We have forged our minds in stone, creating the first tools. Extending our hands beyond their natural limits, we became masters of the immediate, able to cut, scrape, and prepare. But the vast, dangerous world still held us at arm's length. The greatest beasts roamed free, often too powerful, too swift, too terrifying for a direct confrontation. Survival still meant getting dangerously close, until one day, a new idea ignited. The simple stick, thrown with a bit more force, became something lethal. The hand, extended by a shaft, gained an impossible reach. The mind, honed by millennia of tool-making, conceived of a way to kill from a distance. This wasn't just about a longer arm. It was about controlling the kill, about turning the hunt into a science, about making humanity the ultimate predator. It was the moment we truly began to dominate the food chain. Next time, witness the invention that allowed us to leap beyond the reach of our prey. The story of the hunter's ultimate weapon.